Okay, lesson 70 is factoring or find this the greatest common factor. It's kind of like reducing a fraction. You're trying to find what they have in common in the line of common factor, and then reducing down the equation. For example, here I did this here, just like here, reducing 3 over 12. When you're reducing a fraction, you notice the greatest common factor here is going to be 3. So this can be reduced down. If I divide this by 3, it becomes a 1. And if I divide then I got to divide the bottom by 3. So 3 divided into 12 is 1/4. So 3/12 is the same thing as 1/4. This is just reduced down. Okay, same thing with these problems in exercise number 70. Is you're trying to reduce down, they're telling you the factor or to find the greatest common factor and reduce it down. For example, I can look at this one and right away I can see 5 can be divided into this one and 5 can be divided into 30. So here I'm going to put 5 on the outside. And then if I go 5 divided by 5, that's 1. So I end up with 1x. If I go 5 divided by 5, so that would be 1x or just x. Or I can just write it this way, x. And then I go 5 divided by, or 5 divided into 5 divided into 30. That will give me 6. So that would be plus 6. So it'll be, actually you'll see the answer written this way in the book. Okay? So this here is reduced down to 5 times x plus 6. And if you do the distributive, it's the opposite of what we just did. If you go 5 times x, you end up with 5x. And you go 5 times 6, that would be 30. So I'm right back to where I was before. But there are times, and if you take college algebra in college, a lot of times it's easier to deal with problems when they're reduced down this way. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why they include this lesson. Let's try number 2. What's the greatest common? 6 won't divide into 15, but 3 will divide into 6 and 15. So I'm going to say 2 is going to be the greatest common. Ooh, no, 2 won't go into 15, so that doesn't work. 3, yeah, 3 will go into both. So 3 will be the greatest common factor. So here, if I divide this side by 3, if I go 6 divided by 3, that would be, I'm sorry, I'm thinking 2. 6 divided by 3 would be 2y. And then I have to do the same thing to this one, divided by 3. And 15 divided by 3 would be 5. So this will be the answer here. 3 times 2y plus 5. It's been reduced down. But you can check it if I do what we were doing up here. If I do the distributive, 3 times 2y, that would be 6y. And 3 times 5, that would be 15. So this is correct because I ended up right back to where I started. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. Okay? Another one, number 3. This one's pretty easy. Right away I see it's going to be 2. So I'm going to put 2 out here. And 2 divided into 8, or 8 divided by 2, that would be, I can do like a fraction, that would be 4x. And then 2 divided by 2, that would be -1. -2 divided by 2 is -1. Okay? So if you do that FOIL, 2 times, or distributive, 2 times 4 is 8x, and then 2 times -1, that would be -2. So I did that one right. How about number 4? I got AB plus 2B. Well, they both have the B in common, so I can pull that B out. I can go B. So if I divide this by B, B divided by B will be a 1A, or just A. And then B divided by B, that will cancel out, will be 1. So that would be 2. So the 2 will be left over. So here, if I did that foiling thing again, I go B times A, that would be BA or AB. And then B times a positive 2, that would be 2B. And I'm back to where I started. So this would be the answer here. Okay? So those are, that's what you're doing in lesson 70. You're trying to reduce it down. You're finding the greatest common factor between the parts in the equation, and then you're going to divide it by and reduce down what ends up inside the parentheses. I have here, look on page 556. What did I? Oh, I remember. Okay. That's in the book here. Let me stand up, make sure. Oh man, that's huge. See if I can do this in the book here on the first take. But here it says, which of the following are factors for ABC minus 2BC? Well, look what they have in common. Here, the 8 and 2 can be reduced by 2, divided by 2, so that's going to be a factor that comes out. They both have a B in common, so the B can come out. And they both have a C in common, so the C can't come out. The A can't come out because this one doesn't have it. Okay, so here, if I go 2 divided by 8 divided by 2, that would be 4. And then the B and the C came out, so the B is canceled and the C is canceled, so that just leaves the A, so that would be 4A. And then you got minus, if I go 2 BC, well, they all cancel out each other, they all come out, so it ends up just being 1. It'll be like if I had 2 divided by 2, that would be a 1. If I have B divided by B, that's just 1. I mean, it all ends up being 1. Okay, so if you FOIL the thing, or keep using that FOIL, if you distribute, 2 times 4 is 8, A, B, C, minus 2 times 1 is 2, B, C. I'm back to where I started. Okay, so that's how this one came about. So this one, B, will be the answer. Okay, not A. Okay, same thing with number 17. What can I pull out of here? Well, right away I see 3 and 9, both of them can be divided by 3. And here I got z to the third and z to the second, so I can take 2 out of this one, 2 out of this one, so z to the second. I can pull 2 of them out. So now, let's see what I got left to go inside. So I go z, let's do this, 3z squared. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I really don't need the 1, but I'm going to put it there. And then z to the third divided by z to the second. So 2 of them are coming out, so I'm only left with 1z behind, or 1z or z. So 1z can also be just written as a z. Minus, this is why I don't like z's, because they look like 2's. That's why a lot of times you'll see professors put line in them. And then here, negative 9z to the second, I'm taking out 3z to the second. So the z to the second is 1. And then negative 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 3 times 1 is 3, so it'll just be 3. Okay, and that would just be 1z times a z is just z. So it'll be this one right here. So that's why A is the right answer. I took out 3z to the second, and then I had the z minus 3 left over. Okay? When you do these in the books, if you get stuck, look up the answer. I know going through college, some of the problems, you get I get a brain cloud where I just get stuck and can't think. And a lot of times if you look at the answer, it kind of jogs your head and gets you going in the right direction. Okay? So the book always have the answers in the back. It tells you down here in the corner what page they start on. All right? And that's lesson number 70. So the next one will be the next video, which will be 71.